Hello everyone, I'm Matthew Ozanek and welcome to Destination Michigan. In today's episode, we're celebrating the autumn season right here in the Great Lakes State. We have a veritable cornucopia of stories to share with you today that celebrate the beauty, fun, and food that exemplify harvest time in Michigan. So don that pullover, hike up a pair of warm socks, and let's get cozy for today's installment of Destination Michigan. To kick things off, we'll hit the road for a fall color tour that stretches across the north. Then we'll take a bite out of one of the 1,000 varieties of apples at Eastman's Forgotten Ciders and Antique Apples. Stephanie Mills takes us to the wild pumpkin in Beaverton, and Courtney Jerome introduces us to a very special farmer and shepherd. And we'll wrap things up with visits to Freakin' Pickles in Au Gres and Mountain Brewing Company in Mount Pleasant. Now, one of the most obvious signs that summer's on its way out and autumn's on its way in is found by simply looking up at the trees. From coast to coast, trees across Michigan explode with color and put on a breathtaking display of natural beauty. Boasting over 19 million acres of woodlands, it's no surprise that Michigan has amazing fall colors. Each year, throngs of people head out into nature, braving the often brisk temperatures of autumn to view a spectacular display that reaches from the dense hardwood forests to the neighborhood streets. As we sit back, anticipating the change of another season, we may take for granted an incredible natural process that's unfolding right before our very eyes. The fall explosion of color, though only lasting several weeks, is a process that is in the making for months. It begins in the earliest days of spring, when the trees sprout their very first leaves. Leaves exist to provide food for the trees. It's where they drink in the water and absorb sunlight through the spring and summer months. Now, you may recall from science class that leaves' green color comes from the chlorophyll constantly being produced inside, and that chlorophyll thrives off of the sunshine and rain. But as fall approaches, sunshine becomes less plentiful, temperatures drop, the nights get longer, and a fantastic metamorphosis begins to unfold. As chlorophyll in the leaf starts to fade, two other chemicals that have been lying dormant inside the leaf make their big debut. The first is called carotenoids. This is the chemical that gives leaves their yellow and orange hues. Matter of fact, it's the same thing that makes bananas yellow and carrots orange. The second chemical, anthocyanin, is what gives leaves a deep red or purple hue. And color variation can change from tree to tree and even from leaf to leaf. And since there's so many factors that go into the color changing process, no two seasons are ever the same. So now that you know a little bit about the science behind this perennial natural wonder, the question to be asked now is, where's the best place and when's the best time to seek fall color in Michigan? And that answer, well, it depends on exactly where in Michigan you are. Now let's say you want to get out to enjoy the fall colors in early October. If you're near Grand Rapids or Detroit, things will still be looking pretty green. Well, at the same time, in the Upper Peninsula, a parade of gold, yellow, and red is well underway. Naturally, temperatures start dropping earlier the farther north you are. In much of the northern Upper Peninsula, things start changing in early to mid-September, while our friends in the southern part of the state will have to wait for their colors to peak near middle of October. The bottom line is, though, there are spots all across Michigan that are perfect for the fall color seeker. In the UP, the town of Munising sees color quite early in the season. The waterfalls that are scattered across the area flanked in shades of yellow and orange. As is Tequamanon Falls near the town of Paradise. Its namesake river tarnished a deep amber color from the tannins of dead fallen leaves leaking into the waters. Not to be outdone, the lower peninsula shines with endless color stretching across the landscape. And endless miles of trails canopied with the hues of the changing season. Though fall color unfortunately doesn't last forever, it thankfully can be found in every corner of the Great Lakes State. Michigan's trees are bursting with more than just color in the fall season. Next, we're highlighting one of the most popular produces picked during fall harvest. Now, not pumpkins, those are coming a little bit later in the show, but Courtney Jerome is here to take us to the community of Wheeler to meet Eastman's antique apple orchard and Forgotten Ciders owner, Nicole Ward.
Today we are in Wheeler, Michigan at Eastman's Antique Apples. And at this orchard right here, they have over 1,000 different varieties of apples.
And we get a lot of people bringing really nice stories to us, like my grandparents had such and such tree in their yard. Do you have this apple? And we do a lot of times because we have these old varieties of apples. So those are fun stories to connect for people and kind of bring back that nostalgia a little bit. We have apples from all over the world. We have big apples, small apples, we have crab apples, we've got ugly apples. And what we do is we use those to then make hard cider.
Nicole likes to say that she married into an apple family. About 35 years ago, her husband's uncle planted all of these trees, 14 acres of them. Amongst the branches are apples that are absolutely antique, documenting back to the 14, 15, and 1600s. Now, some of these apple varieties are well-known eating apples like Galas and Golden Delicious, while others aren't ones you want to bite into. In fact, Nicole calls those hard cider-specific apples spitters, as they taste so tart, you just want to spit them out.
There's like a famous family joke that they almost ripped out a bunch of the cider trees because they tasted so bad. But once they educated themselves a little bit more and got to learn more of the history about some of these apples, we really understood what a gem we had.
Nicole and her husband purchased the orchard from the family, stayed as exclusively an orchard for a couple of years, selling apples at events and out of white baskets at the Midland Farmers Market. And then things evolved. While they were selling a bunch of their cider apples to other cider makers, they were also experimenting making their own cider in their basement. They called their self-taught selves amateurs, but even as amateurs, they were being awarded medals for their hard ciders. Forgotten Ciders was born with 4 ciders to start, and over their first 5 years, they've created 19 ciders total.
We start with really good apples, and because of that, we're able to make some cool ciders.
A handwritten notebook passed down from her husband's uncle with rows and tree numbers listed has guided Nicole throughout the seasons, and she's updated the 3,000 trees into an Excel document now with approximate ripening dates, so she knows when to harvest what.
And it's not uncommon for us to be picking apples into the first week of November. You know, so that's a pretty long season, definitely hitting it the hardest in September and October. But because we have so many different varieties, you spend a lot of your time like checking if it's ripe yet, going back and checking again if it's ripe yet, because you want to get it right at that peak time.
Now, one important thing to note here is that these apples, both big and small, are all hand-picked. You can see Nicole can perfectly pluck these here in no time, but just imagine how long it takes to harvest a tree full of apples this size.
I think one of the ciders that really put us on the map utilizes our red fleshed apples. Now, a high portion of those are crab apples, so you definitely, those bites that you get from them are tart and tannic, and that translates directly into the cider. Those ciders that you drink of ours are tart and tannic, but they're beautiful, a beautiful red color, a rosé color, totally different than anything you've tried before.
From German Holstein apples to golden nuggets, York apples, Porter's Perfection, Roman stem apples, and Geneva crabs, it's educationally entertaining to learn all of the fun facts Nicole knows about her apples. And on a busy day in the orchard, she can pick about 40 bushels full.
1 bushel of apples is at least 3 gallons of cider. We get a pretty good yield. I think mostly because we do such a blend of apples. I think for pies, for sauces, and for cider, bigger blends make better things. So when people are like, you know, what apple do you use for a pie? I say mix them all up. You know, what do you use for applesauce? Mix them all up. Our highest variety hard cider that we've been able to make has 150 different varieties in it. I'm not out to always remake the same cider over and over again. And even if I do, it's gonna be different from year to year, kind of similar to how wine would be with different vintages, except for that, it's just gonna be based on how the apples taste this year, what kind of the ratio of blends that I'm using. Always staying true to Michigan, only Michigan ingredients. I've famously said I'll never make a pineapple cider because you can't grow pineapple in Michigan.
Learn about everything going on year-round at the orchard, including tastings, by visiting Eastman's Forgotten Ciders Facebook page. Well, you were promised pumpkins, so here we go. Now I'll be handing things off to our very own Stephanie Mills to celebrate that famed orange gourd as she heads to the town of Beaverton and their wild pumpkin.
Many people across Michigan have a favorite place to get their pumpkin and donut in the fall. One of those spots is the Wild Pumpkin near Beaverton, where donuts and pumpkins are just a few of the things that bring people back year after year.
We've had some customers that have been coming here since day one, and it is so cool to see their families grow up and now they're bringing their kids, and you know, it's that interaction. We are actually an animal petting farm and a pumpkin farm. So we've been doing this for about 20 years. This is actually our 20th season, and we want people to come in from the community and actually experience hands-on interactions with our animals and then find and pick the perfect pumpkin.
And these aren't just any animals you may be used to seeing on a farm. Sure, you have your regulars like bunnies and goats, but they also have alpacas and emu, and their newest addition, May the camel. All love to greet you and eat a tasty treat from you when you visit. They're kind of the inspiration for Lori and her husband Jeff, who co-own the Wild Pumpkin located near Beaverton.
At one point I said, we got to do something. Somehow these animals have to pay for themselves. And he's like, well, why don't we sell a few pumpkins? So it just kind of progressed from there. So one day we were just doing animals, and the next we had pumpkins planted, and it's just kind of snowballed from there.
It did snowball. Each season seems to bring something new to this beloved family destination. They were actually recently voted as one of the top places to visit in the state. But getting it ready for visitors takes work. In fact, just planting all the seeds for the literal thousands of pumpkins takes about 4 days.
We spend a tremendous amount of time preparing for the season. I mean, literally once the weather breaks in March and April, we're already, you know, planning and getting everything ready. And, you know, Jeff is definitely the idea guy. I'm not, I'm the no person. But he's the one who said we need the biggest corn box ever. And I'm like, that's the craziest idea I've ever heard. Oh my gosh, no, it's not. It's right on track, you know? So he's really good at stuff like that.
Another huge hit, their donuts. Whipped up from scratch, they've earned a reputation for not just their taste, but their crunchy, sugary, fried goodness.
We make the traditional apple cider donuts. We also make pumpkin and blueberry, but we have some incredible specialty donuts that people rave about. We do pumpkin maple bacon. We do salted caramel apple and cream cheese blueberry and pumpkin donuts. And then for the kids, we also do the fruity tooty blueberries. So we actually have a full service kitchen, so you can buy lunch while you're here and hang out and just spend some quality time with your family.
Spending quality time with your family in the middle of the Mid. Isn't that what it's all about?
When you're out in the community and stuff and everybody feels so grateful that, you know, we're doing something and bringing other people into the community, it's a win-win. And, you know, families nowadays, they need to spend time together, and this is a great place to do it.
Peruse the products and stay up to date with all the happenings at the Wild Pumpkin by heading to their website, thewildpumpkin.com. By day, Blake Klump is a typical high school student. He goes to class, he goes to football practice, but he also finds time to run his own business. Courtney Jerome now heads to the central Michigan town of Shepherd to meet Blake and talk about his harvest at his very own farmer's market.
This downtown looks like a lot of other Michigan downtowns, filled with places to work, play, eat, and explore. But the downtown community of Shepherd looks a little bit different. Where you would expect to see another brick business, instead you'll find this brick and mortar. It's owned by a young entrepreneur.
I'm 16 years old. In school, I mean, I'm a part of student council. Been a part of student council since my 5th grade elementary school, all through middle school and now into high school. I do BPA, Business Professionals of America, a lot of things in that nature. Other leadership groups and stuff that have popped up along the years, I've become a part of those. I play football, I do powerlifting in the winter, and then I'm a golfer in the spring. Whenever I'm not in school or maybe taking a vacation here and there, I'm always working. No matter what time of the year or what day of the week, I'm always working for the most part. Honestly, my favorite thing to do is work.
That's not something you typically hear from a 16-year-old, but Blake was born and raised in Shepherd into an entrepreneurial and farming family, one that inspired him to have a similar story. Now, Blake's family owns multiple businesses themselves, and the family farms 3,000 acres in Shepherd, and they have for generations, dating back to his great-grandfather. Blake grew up working on this family farm, caring for cows, climbing on combines, doing, as he says, whatever's needed.
I pretty much learned everything from a very young age on, what to do, how to do it and everything, so I can pretty much run or do anything on the farm.
Then when Blake was 12 years old, he saw a need in the community for a fresh marketplace. So right in the heart of downtown, with the help of his family, they built a little red barn to sell fresh food under the name Shepherd Country Crops Farmers Market. Throughout the years, his self-serve stand has grown, thanks to an overwhelming amount of support from his small-town community.
I'm pretty big about my farmer's market. Try to bring the best produce I can that I have sourced or that I've grown to the market for the community, because I do care a lot about this community. Whenever I can donate something, I do, or put in time and different stuff. I'm on a lot of different councils and different things at the school. I just like to give back a little bit, and the community is obviously supporting me, so I want to support the community too.
Blake's market is open daily, from about April through November, depending on the year. He stocks his stand with seasonal produce he helps grow on his family's farm, and with additional items gathered through community partnerships.
A lot of it I do grow, but I also have other sources. I'm hooked up really closely related with some Amish out by a Wynn area. There's certain things that I don't grow, and they will grow. We have a really strong relationship, but everything that they grow is grown organically, no sprays, the same way that I would. And then flowers this spring was huge. It blew up a lot bigger than I ever thought it would, which is good, obviously, but it was a stressful week or so trying to supply it. We'd bring 20 back and supply it, and then they'd be gone by the time we brought the other 20 back in about half hour. So it was just crazy. But I'd say normal time in the summer, probably corn's my biggest seller.
Blake's gotten a taste of small business ownership thanks to the success of his Shepherd Country Crops Farmers Market. So before we left so he could, get back to work, I had to ask, what does Blake want to do when he grows up?
Man, when I grow up, I don't know. I've kind of want to take the role as that entrepreneur role. I like being an entrepreneur. I really don't have a set business as far as anything. I think I'll continue my stand for quite a long time, but I just want to be an entrepreneur. Whatever I think will suit me best and whatever I can see as an opportunity and take advantage of it.
To discover what Blake currently has stocked at his farmer's market, you can pay a visit to his Facebook page. Now, did you know that Michigan is one of the top producers of cucumbers used for pickling in the entire country? Well, I didn't know that, but Stephanie Mills did, and now she takes us to a tiny shop in Au Gres, where you can buy all the freaking pickles your heart desires.
We didn't expect anything like this. We just wanted to get our product out there. It's a great product.
Pickles have come a long way from being known as a jarred staple in many homes' pantries. In fact, over the last few years, they've garnered a cult following with their Dill-licious flavors in anything from ice cream to slushies. But at Freakin' Pickles, it's all about the beloved pickle, for now anyway.
When they come in, they really are only getting pickles. We have plans in the very near future to expand. We'll have some other pickled items. But right now we have just 12 gourmet flavors, and they really are so good.
Freakin' Pickles is the creation of Sherry and her son Brett, but really a lot of the family is involved here. The idea came to them just about a year ago. In fact, they only moved into their new building in Au Gres in fall of 2020 and are already bursting at the seams given their enormous pickle popularity.
We were looking for a business opportunity and one that was fun. We started just exhibiting at shows and events on the weekends, and we were having a blast. So we actually had a following before we opened our doors here.
Sherry handles the business side of things while Brett is the pickle creator, if you will. He's come up with all 12 flavors that you can buy at their store. They get their Michigan-grown cucumbers from local manufacturers and put their own touch to them, creating Freakin' Pickles.
They all vary, so more of the mild ones don't have to sit as long. I like them to sit anywhere for a little over a week to as long as you can have it, because it always just, the brine always kind of just flavors up a little bit more with more time. We got a nice little team in the back. It's kind of assembly line. You go from scooping it to stickering it whether it needs a barcode or not, and then everything gets heat sealed, and then we place it in a case and walk it into the cooler.
Freakin' pickles vary in taste, flavor, and spice. There really is something for everyone. Brett says not only does he love pickles, he also loves trying something new.
Always love pickles, anything and everything about it. You know, the aspect of being able to pickle just about anything, and it's fun. I love being creative about it, and it's just a good environment, and who doesn't like pickles?
Now, when I heard about Freakin' Pickles, I knew I had to learn more about this place. Pickles, in fact, are a huge hit in the Mills house, too. Our youngest daughter's love for pickles is well documented. Here, she's dressed as one for Halloween. As for Sherry, the popularity over their pickles is nothing like she ever expected.
We feel so blessed that we are at the point where we are today. And even opening our little doors, we've had people that have driven 5 hours. We're gonna put a little guest book in. They can sample everything we have, and some people are just real pickle fanatics.
Freakin' Pickles have become so popular they can now be found in more than 60 stores throughout the state, perhaps even in your neck of the woods. Now, we've done a fair bit of traveling in today's autumn adventure, so what do you say we wind things down, bend an elbow, and enjoy one of Michigan's most loved fall offerings? We're wrapping things up at Mountain Town Brewing in Mount Pleasant to learn what goes into the perfect Michigan fall brew. All across Michigan, brewers get quite excited over the approach of fall. It's where all of beer's traditional and most flavorful notes can come shining through. And at Mountain Town Brewing in Mount Pleasant, things are no different. Mountain Town is known to beer lovers across the state, and come the months of September and October, they really turn things up a notch. We went behind the scenes at the Mountain Town Brewery to get a first-hand glimpse about how a fall beer comes together.
Fall's really our favorite time of year because there's so much variation you can do. Of course, the first thing I think of as a beer nerd, of course, for fall is Oktoberfest. It's one of my favorite styles overall. It's also fun because we can order some imported German malts and some hops and kind of play around with some different things that we don't normally do.
Of course, before you get to brewing, you first need to develop a recipe. And with a seemingly endless list of flavor profiles to choose from, that can be easier said than done.
I mean, especially when you're making a new beer, I mean, you just kind of want to, you know, picture what you want this glass of beer to be, and then you want to kind of reverse engineer it. So then you're gonna, you know, just like a chef in the kitchen, you're gonna pick your ingredients to make that dish.
And like with most culinary ventures, when it comes to brewing beer, the best ingredients are the freshest ingredients.
Fall is harvest time, obviously for, you know, fruits, vegetables and stuff, but also for hops, which is, you know, one of the main ingredients of beer as well. Michigan's a great hop growing area. You add hops for 3 different reasons: for bitterness, for flavor, and for aroma. We have a lot of great hop farms around here, so it's one of our times where we can, you know, really get into buying some local products and, you know, helping them support those farmers and the Michigan beer scene as well.
For this season's signature harvest ale at Mountain Town, Jeff sourced the hops personally. Thankfully, he lives in Michigan, home to some of the country's best hop producers.
This year we bought 50 pounds of fresh hops right off the vine. I drove there, and as soon as I got there, we went in the field and we cut down the hops, the vines themselves. So we put that into just kind of a pale ale recipe, you know, a little bit of maltiness, but, you know, not over the top, kind of let the hops really shine through. And when you use the fresh hops, it gives it a, you know, not just the bitterness, flavor, and aroma that you normally get from hops, but it actually adds to the mouthfeel because all the fresh oils in the hops stay in the flavor of the beer longer. So it's really unique flavor using fresh hops versus our normal pelletized hops for storage. So it's exciting to do something new and fresh right when it comes into season.
Brewers prep for weeks upon weeks in advance of the autumn season. Brewing beer is a long, complicated, but ultimately incredibly rewarding process. But getting everything just right is crucial in the beer biz.
You know, a lot of brewers are kind of laid back, you know, type guys, but really inside, they know that every single process, every single step needs to be done 100% right all the time. Every step is equally important. So, you know, you got to put the same amount of, you know, time and effort into thinking about what the beer is, then to actually brewing it, then to transferring it, then to packaging it. You know, every step, you know, there's no room for error in beer.
And just like that, this episode of Destination Michigan comes to a close. Our thanks to all of the tremendous folks across the state that we've met today, who already have us looking forward to next fall, when our state's autumn bounty is sure to impress yet again. From everyone here at Destination Michigan, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.